Today, I'm critiquing a neoclassical property right outside of London, and then I'm going to give it an Arvin score at the end of the video, so if you ever decide to buy, remodel, or design your own property, you won't make the same mistakes. I'm Arvin Haddad, I'm the How to Buy a Mansion guy. Let's watch this video together.
Hi Luxury Home Show, my name is Des Ewing. I'm an architect. I specialise in new build residential properties, and I'd love you to see my new build in Beaconsfield. Come on, head in.
Apparently, this guy's an award-winning architect. Pay attention, let's see what he's done.
We have the living area. The focal point is this magnificent marble fireplace. The centre line of the pool is on the centre line of the island, which is on the centre line of the gravel path. I love symmetry.
Me too. This is gonna go well.
Before I give you the full tour, I wanted to show you the gates. The entrance is very often forgotten. Usually I said the digger driver does it. These pillars are designed to be in keeping with the chimney. The gate itself just gives you a little hint of what is behind it.
Wow, this guy is so committed to the whole symmetric form that not just the columns right by the gate mimic the chimney, he's put 2 house numbers on both columns, which is a little overkill. Now, he's apparently an award-winning architect, okay? So I'm going to throw the book at him. If you want to make this slightly a little bit more beautiful, I recommend a little bit of a sprezzatura, right? You do the symmetric right, you do that mimic the chimney and everything, but you don't have to print the house number on both. It's that a little bit of chaos in that harmonious world that gives character.
This is a really super area we're in. Whenever I came to the site, first of all, it was very evident the house was going to have to be demolished. It was a very long, narrow, energy inefficient house that really wasn't in keeping with what people need nowadays. This is a neoclassical house. Georgian and Emma, our clients, were Australian, and they're on for building something very modern. Sometimes houses that are very modern, Australian houses, don't really suit the UK. This house is neoclassical.
Do you agree? I give you 3 seconds. If you are not a subscriber to the channel, you've never watched this is what I do. I teach you guys architectural styles. What are the finishes and what palettes work together, all that stuff. If you haven't subscribed, this is the time. And sometimes we have pop quizzes where you exercise so you will get better, and then I reveal the answer. You got 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. I disagree. This is not a neoclassical whatsoever. If you've paid attention and you watch my channel, this is clearly has strong elements from the Georgian architecture. Neoclassical takes its direct inspiration from Greek and Roman architecture, which I don't see any. If this was a Georgian style, you would have seen a lot more brick. There's no brick here. There's no shutters. There's no details. There's some elegant moldings around the windows, which is very interesting and I like. But they've completely used stucco, right? If I was going to label this architectural style, I will call it modern Georgian revival.
And then to the right-hand side, we've got the garage. The garage is always difficult to make look right. Here we've given it some stone, we've given it a little bit of texture, and we've got accommodation over the top of it, and it is secondary to the main house.
A little bit too much texture, and it seems like he's noticed it, right? He's being very open about it, that he said it's very difficult to do these garages because they were not historically relevant. But the issue is that you're doing a very modern take on a Georgian style. So you don't need to really be historically accurate because your windows are ginormous. They're bigger than your front door. So to hold yourself against a really high standard to execute a garage authentically when you're taking an extreme modern take is an overkill. And I think at the end, when you look at the garage, it could be completely a different property, like a French country property. As to the main house is very modern, very masculine, but contemporary take on the Georgian style, right? And when you put them next to each other, I think he's looking at it, he's like, oh, they don't really blend in. 2 easy fixes. I think he should have got rid of the stack stone and the brick around the garage was good, or use just one of them and use smooth stucco. But to cover this up, you can do it with landscaping. I think it really lacks landscaping, and if you add a lot of landscaping, you diffuse that extra texture.
Differences between it and main house are the eaves. This has got a very simple eaves. The fascia is a little bit big here. I would have had a little bit thinner, only missed that on the day. But on that house, we've got much grander details. If you look at eaves are really important in houses. That's really how you see the quality of a house. This house has got a molded eaves. That means it's very clean, it's very elegant, it's very fine. Around the windows, we have plaster moldings. They have a vertical emphasis to emphasize the height of the building. And then we have a string course, which is set at high level to make the ground floor of the house feel much taller.
Did you hear what he said? See, he's talking about this string, okay, where it's kind of a belt. Like, you know how like ladies where you wear your belt like shows longer legs? This works exactly the same with homes, okay? The actual ceiling of this property is not this line. It's probably somewhere in between over here. But he's wearing it really, really high to kind of draw the property up. To me, he's overdone it. He's done crown molding around the windows, which are already vertical to give it more lift. And then the lower level windows are bigger than your front door. To me, one of the biggest flaws of this property is that the windows on the lower level are dwarfing your front door. And the portico is really hiding your front door as well. And by putting the molding over here, you see how close it comes to the portico? He's just quadruple downing on this vertical lift when he already had it. I think one element where he could have been a little bit more symmetrical and rightly proportioned is that the windows could have been on the lower level a little bit shorter, and then by this crown molding and setting the belt or the string higher, you would have got that lift for the lower floor. And over here, you're really competing with the front door, which again, to me, it looks lost in the portico.
So this is a surprise. As you come in, you don't get a hint of this from the outside. It's that dramatic double height space. We want to create a little bit of drama. In here, we want to have something that just is a spectacular height, but also is a circulation route for the rest of the house. The big lights, which are hand-blown, made in Czechoslovakia, will come in and fill the space. We need something to come down into the space because it is just such a big space. And one thing about big spaces like this, and you can maybe hear the echo in my voice.
I'm going to address the echo, but what's also really annoying is if you fall down the stairs, you're going straight out of the window. Do you see how the landing area where the stairs turn is above the bottom of the downstairs windows? It's a clear flaw. Again, he had done so much to give the vertical lift. He didn't have to compete with the front door, use these oversized windows on the lower floor. I understand it's in England. I understand you want to bring natural light. You're getting plenty of natural light in this property anyways. And when it comes to the echo, for some reason, he's partitioned the living area with glass doors. Well, that's not going to help with the echo. You've created a box, right? The sound's going to bounce everywhere, and it's going to really, have that echo effect.
But that echo can sometimes be very annoying to the ears. But it is about height, it's about the staircase, it's a consistency of materials from the timber floor to the timber staircase. It's traditional form with the open tread staircase, but it's a modern detail, the steelwork, the timber, the handrail. It's all just a modern interpretation of a grand traditional hallway as we come in.
Do you see this? Like, this is not helping the echo, but it's really interesting how he didn't use a glass door for the front of the property. I think a very easy way to really modernize this and stay like at least symmetric in the facade where the emphasis is in the center is use the front door like this, especially when your property is completely gated and distanced from the street.
So here we are, the kitchen living area with a great connection to the garden. This is where it all happens. This large space is broken up into several small spaces. At this end, we have the living area. It's set back a little bit so you don't walk through it. It's like a little bit of a cul-de-sac, a dead end. The focal point is this magnificent marble fireplace with slate inlay. Consistency in this house is very important.
Okay, let's talk about the family room, which could also be your formal living room. I loved it. It's centrally located and it could be used for many different reasons. It could be good for guests. It could be for the family. It's a place where it's central to the front door, backyard, dining room, and the kitchen. Great. I want to use the best location in the property as often as I could. The scale, the height was good. The length was great. You had that depth of view through the dining room and the kitchen, but the width was a little bit narrow. Considering how wide the property was, I was expecting a little bit more depth. And it looked like you have a very long lot. You had a lot of depth into the lot. So I'm a little surprised where they cut it off a little short. I think they could have gone a little bit farther out.
And as we come in are some of the lighter spaces that focus onto the garden. With these seats just look straight out onto the garden, which people do frequently because it's such a beautiful garden. But these two spaces are used all the time.
I really like it. I really think that length of the house is working here. The exposure is bringing the natural light in. The color palette, though, I'm not a big fan. I think the black is overused. I think you had a little bit of black with the windows. You could have used as an accent like the chandelier you have here. You didn't really have to go black bar and chairs for the property. I think you could have brought a little bit of that color on the facade stucco of the building on the inside. That warmth, that brownish, maybe a little bit of taint of green inside to give that warmth to work with the wood floors. And they've just gone really dark, and I don't like that.
Now, let's go and see the kitchen. So the kitchen, what a scale of an island. It has to be for this size of space. This Calcutta marble, 4 meters long, really hard to get. It's so beautiful. But the main feature is this super big window. The client did not want a hood over the hob. So we have this Bora kitchen that brings it out below, works really well.
Very interesting, right? It looks a little naked and very, very modern. This owner is going nuts about natural light, oversized windows everywhere. I understand the obsession and the trauma. It does look a little bit bare. I definitely would have liked to see some shelves at least in between the windows to bring a little bit of character, a little bit of charm. It's a little bit too modern for the architecture, at least for me.
Beautifully clean, concealed kitchen area here. Little mini kitchen for your toast, etc., fridges, etc. This is built by Greenwood Interiors, who I love, and they're a local manufacturer, and we love to support the local manufacturers.
Why did he sound like Donald Trump there? We love the local manufacturers, we support them.
And they're a local manufacturer, and we love to support the local manufacturers. Super slick kitchen, handleless. Look how long it is here with this fine reconstituted stone top. Archia light, designed by architects in Melbourne. This is the feature along this side. Look how slick it is. Look how it turns into the slick lines.
I love this. I love the position of the kitchen. Look at how it's like command and control. You have a breakfast nook. This is where you're going to spend the most amount of time on this breakfast table over here. On one side, the swimming pool, you got greenery, beautiful. And this nook looks really interesting as well. And the backyard with these ginormous windows are just so inviting.
This is our pantry, utility room, all the herbs and spices, all the things that are sitting around. You can leave a mess in here and then just close the door by sliding this hidden door across. It's all forgotten about. So now we're getting to the back of the house.
Okay, the back of the house, secondary stairway going up. I was looking for that. You want that vertical connectivity going up. Beautiful. 2 staircases.
This is the connection to the garage. You can come straight into the house, a little place for cat food. The staircase takes us up to the accommodation over the top of the garage, which can be for staff, guests, whatever you wish.
Wait a minute. It doesn't go to the main upstairs. It goes to the garage's second floor, which is probably some sort of an office or a guest house. Interesting. Okay, so maybe the vertical connectivity is just the front entrance, which would not be ideal.
This is the back door, which we looked at earlier, which you can't notice because it's set back a little bit. Adjacent to the back door, you walk in to your left, you've got cloakroom, a little toilet, shower, bring the dogs in, whatever. Then you go going straight into the house. Off it to the right, really amazing wine. To the left, a little office, which is really useful, probably one of the most used rooms in the house, where post is put and computers are used, etc.
Okay, it's definitely not inspiring, but I love the fact that it's tucked away from everything. It looks like the perfect place for the house manager, takes care of all the bills and orders the groceries and just basically running the house for you. Not bad.
And that's right next to the door that leads us back directly into the kitchen. So this area of the house that we're moving into is the most used for the family. You've got the kitchen, you have a dining table, and you have this wonderful day bed, which is used so much.
I love the fact that they introduced a lot of indoor plants, right? They're warming up the space, bringing the outside inside. And guess what? With all these windows, plants are going to be like flourishing on the inside. So I love that. I really think they've done a good job. You see this kind of like a brownish olive tone exterior. They could have used that, not necessarily material, but this color tone on the inside. I think it was going in a very good direction, and the introduction of black was just very abrupt and it broke the flow. There was no continuity. Like once we went inside, we forgot about this.
Our canopy is single story, projects out, located to get the best of the sun. The house itself has got the same neoclassical sort of feel to it, but cradle doors at the bottom, lots of glass to connect outside, a nice seating area is broken up so that we don't have a large expansive paving at the back.
Okay, the combination of hardscaping and landscaping, beautiful. Again, he's referring to neoclassical, which I completely disagree. There's no Greek or Roman element over here. It's totally, again, especially the back facade is a modern Georgian, or you can say modern Georgian revival. There's no element of Greek that I see over here. That doesn't matter. I think it's a very good execution of whatever his vision was. I think it's also important to not get tied up with the names and everything. You don't have to geek out over this stuff. But for me to make sense out of architectural style, at some point it becomes important to label things so I can organize it and group them together and know what elements I'm borrowing from what to complement each other, right? So that's why it's important to me, but who cares? Like, it's not that important to you. The execution is really well done.
And then we're straight on into this bowling green lawn, the greenhouse, and all the planting at the back of the garden. The element that connects the back of the garden to the house is the pool. The centre line of the pool is on the centre line of the island, which is on the centre line of the gravel path, and finishes with the gable of the greenhouse. I love symmetry.
Me too. There's a level of order, right? I think if I was gonna give him one hinter to just make his design even better, is that when you execute this symmetry, intentionally mess it up at some points. Give it a flaw. I think even in humans, even in architecture, in fashion, everything, it's really doing everything right and then having a tiny intentional flaw to it that comes as careless makes the whole thing look so naturally, effortlessly perfect. Okay, I'm editing the video. I realize you need a visual to really get this sprezzatura. How, when you have a super symmetric design, how you can create a little bit of a flaw to give it more a homey feel, to make it look like it's been lived in. So I gave you two examples for the front and the back facades, and you don't need to take them all. You can take a little bit of accents here and there. One is like a missing lantern on one side, or different type of plants by the front door, maybe a cafe shutter for a window that it's got creeping ivy coming from one side of the building, which also would be a good fix for the backyard. And the back facade, what you can do is like just have an awning on one of the windows to just break it up. I only recommend this when you have this super symmetric structure, right? You do a little bit of a character, a little bit of a twist to it, and it just boom. To me, it makes it a lot more livable, and it doesn't take anything away from its modern functionality of the big windows and all the elements you got going on for you. If you want to join the inner circle, here's the QR code. This is the type of stuff we do. I would love to be that resource to you, help you get your project to another level, significantly increase your resale value.
We're now moving into the garden at the back, to the water feature, and the greenhouse beyond.
Do you see the vegetation over here that is really covering the covered patio? I think just doing that on the garage on the front would really diffuse that abrupt shock of a modern Georgian structure and like a French country house that was the garage, right? I think that's the cheapest, easiest way to diffuse that immediately.
Beyond that is the basketball, because this is a family home. So as well as it looking good, it's got to be practical. So down this corridor, this is the secondary bit, the bit you don't see when you're coming in through. And that's because we've got our cloakroom and our toilet, bits you don't want to see when you come through the front of the house. We've also got our study, which acts as a little snug, a little cozy snug, which is a contrast to the large open spaces we have at the front, and then the kids' playrooms.
Okay, 2 rooms downstairs. Now, they've designated one of the rooms as the kids' play area. Rightfully so. You can control the mess in one area. Opened up to the backyard. Great. And you had another like serious office downstairs. So far, the bedroom distribution, you got 2 bedrooms and a very small like house office by the mudroom. Great. Very good.
One of the challenges of the design of this house is the staircase. Because the floor-to-ceiling heights are so tall, plus the thick floor, means we have to go up almost 4 meters. It's a lot of steps, very daunting if you're going to do it in one direction. Here we've broken it up with 2 half landings, makes the staircase look better. It also makes it easier to go up.
Whoa, this is an issue. This is a major issue. Meaning, if you're going from your master bedroom to the kids' bedroom, you have to go down the stairs and go back up the stairs. Like you need to go, freeway off ramp and get back on the freeway again. Again, I don't see the obsession with ceiling heights over here. I talk about scale and volume all the time, but this is an overkill. And then do you remember where I said the property, the living room could have had a little bit more of depth? It was a little bit too tight. Guess what? If you had given that a little bit more width, you would have had enough angle to do it in one stroke. This is just weird. I think it's an architectural flaw that became apparent after a lot of decisions were made. And they're like, okay, we have to kind of, split it up on this side. It looks weird and odd and overkill. Again, the ceiling height seems to be an obsession here.
This wing we'll be coming back to in a minute, but first we're going to have a look at the principal bedroom, which is just this way here. This is the lobby to the principal bedroom. Bedroom's over here. It means it's away from all the noise. It's really simple. It's really stripped back. It's just for sleeping. Dressing room here, ensuite here. The two of them connect. Let's go ahead and have a little look. So this is the ensuite. Some ideas are borrowed from the Beaverbrook Hotel. The floor tiles, the marble. The bath is too big. Here's a little mistake.
Okay, I'm not seeing any element from the exterior. It seems like we forgot that warm, earthy tones on the outside. Again, very plain. And the bedroom was disappointing. It was very small. Lacks character, color, and taste.
Into the dressing room. This has got a Scandinavian feel to it. And that's because Emma was a designer in Denmark. Also, this was made by Goodwood Interiors. The oak is always timeless. It's going to be something that's always there.
I like this closet. It's very Denmark, Swedish, Nordic, right? I really like the bench. And it's a very good size for property of this caliber, for his and her, all the built-ins and the European design. I think you should get enough space.
So as we leave the principal suite, upstairs, we have an additional bedroom with an ensuite. Also got a really good gym up there as well.
This is massive. So 2 bedrooms on the attic. Really good. One bedroom and a gym. Again, 2 bedrooms downstairs, 2 bedrooms on the attic. And I wonder how many bedrooms on the middle floor, the second floor.
Here we are, laundry on the first floor. It's what every house needs. Why bring the clothes up and down? This is where you're going to be wearing them. This has got a real Scandi feel to it as well. It's got the machines at the mid-level, hanging space. And probably the best feature, the super deep sink. Always good. Never thought about stainless steel.
Again, I'm not digging the palette. The palette is soulless over here and then dark on the kitchen area. I think, again, instead of choosing white and black, using that beige, white, and wood floor and a little bit of an olive tone would have really had that consistency over there. You could have chose from that and used one of them primary, one of them as an accent, and switched in room, giving strength to one and weaken the other one to keep it a little exciting.
Now we're back to that triple height space we talked about before. It also connects to the upstairs, over to the second wing. We have another couple of bedrooms, and then we're going to connect to the garage. Kids' bedroom, good and bright, desk, storage, ensuite, and that lovely Scandi brightness.
I loved it. Much better than the primary. It had 2 windows, lit, opened up to the backyard, proper bedroom.
And now at the front of the house, another bedroom. You can see the ceiling heights are slightly lower here, but we've still got that cornice detail that runs throughout the house and the sliding sash windows. So now we're above the garage. This is the guest suite. Little living area here, tucked in kitchen, bedroom, dressing, great sized ensuite.
Okay, so there is a continuity on the upper floor. There has 2 staircases going down. But again, did you see that kitchen for the guest house above the garage? Like, they tried to use glazed tile, but it just didn't come together. It was an attempt. They didn't really finish the chapter. They could have put indoor plants in there. You need to bring a little bit of outside inside. And they just really didn't do it on the upper floor. At least on the lower floor, they had a lot of natural plants. You had elements of, freshness in it. On the upper floor, it just looked very vanilla. Okay, let's give it an Arvin score. But before I do that, if you want me to critique your layout, your finishes, your architectural style, all the 10 principles, I would love to give you 12 months of support. Here's a QR code. You can scan it, apply for it. If we're a right fit, I would love to help you out. Okay, location. Look, you're not central London and you're not like Brighton, like Booneyville, okay? It's still prestigious. You're very close to Oxford. It's going to get a 7.5. Log quality. The size is great and it's all flat. I believe it's over an acre, but the dimensions are not ideal. Your length is significantly more than your width, and for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9. Lot utilization, great frontage, amazing backyard. Your side setbacks were average and you didn't have a private driveway. I'm still going to give it an 8.5. Privacy. I didn't see any other property looking into it. It was very well gated from the outside. It seemed like on the kitchen side and one side on the closet side, there was a neighbor who could have possibly looked in. They had remediated that issue. I'm still going to give it a 9. Lot orientation. From my calculations in the stars and the shadows I analyze, I believe it's southeast facing. But most importantly, you're going to get a lot of natural light because the ceiling heights were really high and they had the biggest windows you can imagine. So it's going to invite a lot of natural light coming from all directions. It's going to be lit. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9. Architectural style. This is a tough one. I think it's super important to be functional with your architectural style when you're dealing in the northern latitude like England, where you're not going to get that much light and you also have very low cloud ceilings, right? I think it's so important to deviate from architectural styles that are traditional and not favoring that. I think this was an amazing attempt at modernizing a Georgian style architecture. I made it very clear that I wasn't a fan of the humongous windows on the lower floor. I think they had done a lot to really give that prestige of vertical lift to the lower level with setting up the string high and also doing the crown molding around the windows. I think that was the biggest flaw, and also the fact that the garage did not speak to the main house whatsoever. There was a lot of disconnect over there. But having said all that stuff, I think overall they got a lot of things right. And for that reason, I'm going to give it an 8. Views. It's really not a view property. You look into greenery, it's beautiful, but there's no focal point. There's no single element that you're looking in. You're not at the base of the mountain, looking up on the mountain or looking down on a vista. I'm going to give it a 0. Layout. They got a lot of bedrooms. You had an amazing indoor-outdoor connectivity. You had the wow factor when you walked in. I think it was an amazing layout. I'm going to give it a 9.5. Scale and volume. The ceiling heights were ridiculous, amazing. I think if they would have got the depth of the backyard a little bit better, they would have also fixed that stairway problem where, had an off-ramp and an on-ramp. They would have given more room for the stairway to reach the top on one stroke, and it would have been better. And for that reason, I'm going to give it a 9. Finishes. Inconsistent. The floors were not that impressive. The planks were pretty narrow. The railing was really beautiful. But the kitchen marble was all right. Again, it was a mix of average and luxury, and for that reason, I'm going to give it a 7. Now, here's the Arvin score. Now, if you've never seen Lenny Kravitz's execution of the sprezzatura design where everything is perfect, and then he sprinkles a little bit of a flaw to make it more look effortlessly perfect, you should definitely watch this video. If you want to join the inner circle, I would love to welcome you and work with you for 12 months. Link is in the description. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the comments. Thanks for watching.